It's what gets us up in the morning. It keeps us thinking at night. It taps into our strengths and inspirations. It's the charge we get when an idea connects. A concept becomes reality. It's the satisfaction we feel when we can financially sustain ourselves and our families. It's impact and momentum. It's trying and failing and finding success. It's the spirit of small business, and it's what we're celebrating today. Pacific Coast Business Times honors the Spirit of Small Business Award winners and acknowledges their drive and inspirations. In the increasingly crowded niche market of craft beer, Made West Brewing Company is setting itself apart with innovative design and quality handcrafted beer. Founders Mike Morrison and Seth Gibson have been friends since they were kids growing up in Ventura. Their mutual desire to make quality beer in their hometown reunited them in 2013 to launch Made West Brewing Company. While not all friends can make the leap to business partners, Morrison and Gibson have found their individual skills complement one another.
I think we make a really good team because pretty much everything I was slightly nervous about or unfamiliar with is what the specialties he possessed.
Morrison had been cultivating a near obsession with brewing the perfect beer for almost 8 years before he and Gibson took the leap to commercial production. Morrison spent countless hours honing his craft and fine-tuning his recipes. He frequently tested his results at the San Diego County Fair. After 2 first-place wins and runner-up for Best in Show, he felt confident enough in his skills to become a professional brewer. While always striving to create new, memorable flavors, Made West works hard to ensure all of their beers remain highly drinkable and approachable to even the less adventuresome drinker.
Packed with flavor, aroma, but being very pleasant on the palate, and I think that's why we'll get so many people that'll come in, I don't normally like IPAs, but I had your IPA and it's so good.
The conscious decision to create a brewery based in their hometown has also helped set them apart from other craft beers. Since Made West first blazed the Ventura craft beer trail, other brands have followed suit, creating a hub of craft beers in the town. The team took great care and consideration when designing the physical space for their brewhouse. The tap room, laid out with their customers in mind, allows food trucks to pull right up onto the patio, so patrons enjoy both food and drink together. The welcoming environment, along with their stellar beer, has made the brewery a destination spot that attracts a wonderfully diverse crowd.
I couldn't describe one customer that comes in. It's across the board. It's, young, old, families, dogs, people getting off work, tourists. It's cool to see that.
Another unique design element that has become a signature of the brand is packaging their beer in cans. Cans are lighter to ship, prevent ultraviolet rays from reaching the beer, and allow the drink to cool faster. Cans also fit with the active outdoor image of Made West. While some investors were initially skeptical, the popularity of cans is growing and the stigma has faded. The thrill of creating an award-winning beer extends beyond the praise of customers and critics. Morrison and Gibson take pride in the careers they've been able to create for their team at Made West.
See that we have 22 employees that are creating a career for someone. That's a part of why we did this to begin with, and it's been fun to see the growth, not from our perspective, but from everyone else's perspective around us, and to see how it's transformed other people as well.
You might say that Defender Armor CEO and founder David Fernandez has armor in his DNA. Fernandez's father, nuclear physicist Dr. David Fernandez, was one of the world's leading experts on ballistic materials and helped develop the armor for gunners operating the acclaimed Black Hawk helicopter.
He worked for agencies like NASA, JPL, other companies like Rocketdyne and Aerojet. And although his expertise was in aerospace, he also had a great expertise in composite materials.
David Fernandez recognizes that his father set the bar for his standard of accomplishment.
So he was very innovative, and I always looked up to him as a very brilliant man and someone that I wanted to be like.
Fernandez began working in the family business from a very young age.
From 14, 15, 16 years old, I was loading bullets and helping him test armor. He always had me under his wing and teaching me things.
Fernandez's renowned father has since passed away, but Fernandez continues the family legacy with his own company, Defender Armor.
We primarily produce body armor for military and law enforcement applications, and they would be hard body armor systems.
The threat of today's weaponry require greater armor than law enforcement has traditionally employed.
Where typically a law enforcement officer would wear a soft armor vest to protect them against, concealable weapons. Something like an assault rifle, those soft armor vests will not defeat.
Convinced the demand for personal armor has grown beyond traditional markets, Defender has begun a line specifically designed for the civilian market.
Private security that's either domestic or international, that protecting someone that is also threatened by terrorism or whatever it may be. We're able to provide unique systems that can go into perhaps backpacks that are discreet, so it doesn't look like they're wearing heavy armor all the time, but they have that protection when they need it.
Fernandez acknowledges the deep responsibility he feels toward his customers. And Defender's quality control has a track record Fernandez's father would be proud of. Remarkably, they are the only government supplier that has never failed a test requirement. A successful body armor system must do more than stop a bullet. It must mitigate the trauma experienced from the bullet strike. Even when a bullet fails to penetrate body armor, the impact can cause severe injury or even death. Defender armor is meticulously engineered to reduce the trauma from the bullet impact, dispersing it laterally throughout the armor to absorb the shock and protect the human body. 60% of Defender's business is military, but law enforcement and civilian markets are steadily growing. The company's total sales have been tripling year over year with no expected lag in sight. Defender's mission is to keep its customers protected and confident during even the most challenging of situations. For over 50 years, Ventura-headquartered Island Packers has been cruising the California Channel Islands for education, recreation, and science. Co-owner Cheryl Connolly has been working for the company her father Bill began since she was just 12 years old. In those days, it was a single boat operation captained by Bill and fueled by his dream of sharing the wonders of the Channel Islands. Today, the islands are such a popular destination, the company maintains a fleet of boats to meet the demand. As the only authorized concessionaire for maritime transportation to the Channel Islands National Parks, some of Island Packers' trips book up to 2 years in advance. On a regular day, Packers transports between 300 and 400 passengers from their Ventura and Oxnard harbors to locations on the islands. But Island Packers provides more than a trip across the water. From the very beginning, Bill Connolly envisioned it as a floating classroom. Many of Island Packers' captains and crew members are naturalists who share their knowledge on everything from native ocean wildlife to the nearby oil rigs. With their reputation for fun, memorable trips and breathtaking whale and dolphin sightings, you might think of Packers as a business that mostly caters to tourists and a few lucky locals on vacation. But Island Packers is a vital part of our community that consistently steps up when help is needed. After the Thomas Fire and Montecito mudslide disasters, during the closure of Highway 101, the company suspended all its regular operations in order to ferry people, medical supplies, and essential blood donations from Ventura to Santa Barbara. Employees worked 15 to 16-hour days to help maintain the flow of vital goods and services to the otherwise cut-off community. Even during non-emergency times, Island Packers' passion for the wildlife of the Channel Islands extends beyond tourism. The company takes an active role in conserving the maritime ecosystem its founder so cherished. Last year, in partnership with various nonprofit organizations, Island Packers helped release more than 100 rescued seals, sea lions, and birds back into the wild. The Channel Islands are one of Southern California's most ecologically rich environments, boasting diverse and unique animals, plants, and archaeological resources. Thanks to Island Packers, we can all enjoy a safe, comfortable, and informative journey to these amazing natural wonders. Ian and Brittany Bentley, founders of leather goods company Parker Clay, have built a business that is on target to hit $1.3 million in sales this year. But for the Bentleys, success is not measured in dollars alone. While turning an impressive profit, Parker Clay is also working to change lives on the other side of the world. The inspiration for Parker Clay came in the unlikely form of a news segment.
It's estimated that there's over 140 million orphans in the world, and we couldn't help but think, what if one of those were Parker? What if that was Clay?
The Bentleys could not turn away. Already the parents of 2 young sons, in May 2011, they traveled to Ethiopia to adopt their first daughter. What they found there stood in stark contrast to the country they had only seen portrayed as a desolate land plagued with famine.
We saw something totally different. We were there to adopt our daughter, but we met this vibrant community, young people that were finding jobs, were trying to create businesses, and we just felt like there was such a different narrative that could be told about Ethiopia.
Witnessing firsthand both the beautiful culture of the country and the incredible challenges that faced its people, they found once again their hearts telling them to do more. In 2012, they made the bold decision to relocate their family to Ethiopia. Once there, they quickly identified their next mission.
We ended up meeting a group that was helping women out of prostitution, that being one of the bigger issues, especially in the capital city of Addis Ababa, where it's estimated over 150,000 women are involved in prostitution. And these women don't want to be working in prostitution. What they want is jobs. What they want is dignity. What they want is to put their kids through school.
Working with the nonprofit Alicia, the Bentleys set out to help at-risk women learn skills and find jobs that would enable them to avoid the sex trade.
So the aim was to help these women that were some of the most incredible women we've ever met, and their desire was very similar to Brittany and I. We have children. We want to provide for them. We want to send them to school. We want them to have hope and a future.
Then one day, while purchasing a leather bag for Brittany, Ian became curious about the source of the leather. He learned that Ethiopia has the 6th largest livestock population in the world. The country is rich with leather.
We don't want to create a product that's this kind of guilt purchase. You know, you buy it because you feel bad. We want people to buy something because they love it, because it looks good. And yeah, and by the way, we do this incredible work to empower women and create jobs behind the scenes.
In 2013, Ian and Brittany created Parker Clay, a fine leather goods company named after their 2 sons. Parker Clay both sources and manufactures its leather products in Ethiopia. It's a model that has been life-changing for the over 50 people Parker Clay employs in its 2 factories in Ethiopia.
We look at with Parker Clay is we're trying to say, wait a second, we can produce in a country like Ethiopia and compete on a global scale with a premium product, so you don't need to compromise.
Since their first journey to Africa, the Bentleys have adopted 2 more daughters. The family has moved back to Santa Barbara, where Parker Clay is headquartered. But Ian frequently travels to Ethiopia.
Santa Barbara's home, as much as Ethiopia is home to us. And it's fun for us to be able to bridge 2 continents, 2 countries.
It's a scene as American as a Norman Rockwell painting. A few neighborhood kids behind a table with a handmade sign advertising lemonade for sale. In this story, the neighborhood kids were Lori Volk's children, and the lemonade was Lori's original recipe, infused with a delicious hint of farmer's market lavender. Volk could not have known at the time, but that lemonade stand would eventually lead to one of Ventura County's favorite success stories. In 2012, schools all over California were struggling with deep budget cuts caused by the Great Recession. Volk's job with the school district was one of many unfortunate casualties of those cuts.
I was absolutely desperate to figure out a way to help pay for their college expenses. I had promised housing and food for them, and I didn't know how to do it.
And that's when her mind returned to that hot afternoon in Ojai years before.
I thought in the middle of the night one night that the lavender lemonade might be the answer.
The commercial beverage market is no small challenge to break into, and Volk admits that she was the odd man, or in this case, odd woman, out.
I didn't fit the mold. There was a lot of beverages coming out.
But Volk had a product she believed in, and she was undaunted. Less than 6 years later, her Little Lemonade is sold in more than 650 locations in California. Stores big and small, specialty markets, and mainstream grocers alike. Seeing her product on the shelves of major markets like Vons and Whole Foods is a thrill Volk can hardly express.
I can't even describe that feeling of how we made it. Someone told me there was 20,000 items in a store and 20,000 new items that are introduced every year. And somehow I made it through that process.
Selling to markets all over California requires more than a few lemons from the backyard. Volk has had to successfully navigate large-scale production and distribution without sacrificing the integrity of a product that brands itself as a homemade creation. The success of Lori's Original Lemonade has also meant a chance for Volk to introduce new flavors.
We have 5 flavors: lavender, ginger, lemongrass light, wild strawberry, and original.
There have been sacrifices along the way. Back when Lori's Original Lemonade was first starting out, and the bills for college were coming in, Volk sold her Ojai home and moved onto a boat in the Ventura Harbor. But sales were never Volk's only ambition. To watch her company excite and embolden other entrepreneurs may be the ultimate reward.
We've created something else. We're inspiring people, and I think that was really one of my main goals, was to inspire other people to be, especially women, to get out there if they have an idea, to get out there and do that, and not to be afraid.
Omni Design Group in San Luis Obispo has been providing clients with cutting-edge civil engineering and surveying services for over 30 years. Established in 1982 as Mid-State Engineers, the company initially offered an impressive range of planning, civil engineering, and land surveying services. But the addition of architectural services in 1994 truly elevated the company to a one-stop design shop. Current president David Marshall, who joined Omni in 1989, was one of the biggest proponents of incorporating architecture and landscape design into Omni's menu of services. This expansion has helped the company weather the inevitable market fluctuations that come with being in business for over 3 decades. Omni's broad range of services has attracted an impressive spectrum of projects and clients. The company boasts a portfolio of work ranging from the master planning of shopping malls and schools to the design of multi-carrier telecommunications facilities and the maintenance of water and sewage infrastructure. Omni's clients are just as diverse as the work they bring. Omni has been a trusted resource for Cal Poly San Luis for over 20 years and running, and they've recently signed a 50-year contract with Vandenberg to maintain water and sewage systems on the base. Since adding architectural services in the 90s, the company has grown more than 300%, from 12 to 35 employees. With the in-house expertise to take projects from inception to completion, Omni Design Group clients benefit from a dynamic team of talented specialists. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, Omni Design Group remains the Central Coast's long-standing leader in full-service design. One of the more recent additions to Ventura's historic downtown is a colorful, lively shop called Eku Green, opened in 2017 by Martha Cantos. Located on 231 Main Street next to the Mission San Buenaventura, Ecugreen specializes in handcrafted goods from Ecuador, which Cantos personally and lovingly hand selects. Cantos, who was born in Nicaragua and raised in Ventura, developed a passion for the traditional arts of Ecuador while living there in the 1980s.
I went to Ecuador. I started learning about the fabulous tawa nut, and I started inquiring about it. So I started learning the process and the making and everything, and I just fell in love with the identity that it's passed on from generation to generation. The artisans, when they make it, it's an art that they have developed through their great-grandparents and parents, and they have taken on, and it's their way of providing an income for their families.
She began purchasing items from local craftsmen and women as gifts for friends and family back home. Soon she found herself selling them as a hobby and reinvesting her profits into more and more stock. Many of the unique items Cantos imports are made from tagua nuts. The tagua tree, also called the Ecuadorian ivory palm, produces nuts very similar in texture and durability to animal ivory. It provides a cruelty-free, eco-friendly alternative to the use of Indian and African elephant tusks. Cantos is passionate about her tagua nut products and feels a strong connection to the beautiful trees they come from.
I live it, I breathe it, I feel it, I smell it. I have dreams with the palm trees, and every time I go to Ecuador, I go to the tawales. They're called tawales, where all the palm trees are, and it's just being in heaven. So I kind of know what heaven's gonna look like when I go there.
While Cantos had an intimate knowledge of the products she wanted to sell, she admits that running a retail store was unfamiliar territory. For this, she turned to Women's Economic Ventures, or WEAVE. A Santa Barbara-based organization since 1991, WEAVE offers microloans and self-employment training.
I knew a lot about my business, I knew a lot about my product, I know all of my artisans and everything, but I knew very little about the ins and outs of having a store. So WEAVE has been a great supporter of me opening the store.
Today, her passion for the fine craftsmanship of Ecuador fills the shop with colorful and exotic jewelry, hats, textiles, and much more. But it's not just merchandise that Cantos brings from Ecuador to Ventura. It's the identity and the culture of Ecuador. It's this transference of traditional arts and history, which she passes from artisan to customer, that truly excites Cantos.
Everything has a history. The hammock that I have on my window has been there for 1 year and 3 months. And I was there when it was being made. So just to pass on the history from how they make it to pass it on to the people that buys the product. It's not just about selling something, it's about passing on the history.
Oxnard-based All Seasons Restoration is Ventura County's largest property restoration company, offering 24/7 services for everything from fire and water damage to trauma scene cleanup. CEO and founder Kirk Prowse acknowledges that it's a business which requires a unique combination of specialized professional skills and a compassionate human touch.
We see lots of people on one of their 3 worst days of their lives.
Creating and maintaining an empathetic team of employees begins at home.
Every company has a culture. At ASR, we call it our ASR family. You work at ASR, you're part of the family.
It should come as no surprise that All Seasons Restoration played a huge role in the Thomas Fire and Montecito mudslide recovery efforts. At times, the company's 70 employees worked over 60 hours a week on cleanup and restoration after the disasters. All Seasons was pivotal not only in getting people back into their homes and workplaces, but in returning thousands of kids to their schools, a feat they accomplished in just 3 weeks.
We did the entire Ojai School District, Santa Paula School District, and numerous private schools in Ojai and Ventura. We've done hotels, we've done bed and breakfasts. We had over 500 homes on a list of homes to just go to and give proposals and clean. And then after that, we had the Montecito mudslides, another devastating hit to our community here. And so we worked up there for months. We're still working up there today.
Despite the overwhelming demand during the disasters, All Seasons never wavered its commitment to completing each and every job without compromising their commitment to excellence.
I will guarantee you that the schools, every school that we touched, was cleaner the day they came back from their Christmas vacation than it was when it was built brand new.
In a highly stressful business, All Seasons Restoration has excelled through exceptional teamwork, honest and fair client relations, and perhaps most importantly, an impeccably prepared and highly trained staff.
We have unequivocally the most highly educated staff virtually in the state of California that I'm aware of. We hold credentials that others don't hold, and we hold multiple credentials.
Maintaining a reputation for being ready to meet any situation on a moment's notice is no small feat.
The big thing for us is always the what if question and it depends question. We never know what we're running into and what we're getting into until it actually happens and see what the challenges are.
But with $12 million in annual gross sales, it's clearly a challenge All Seasons Restoration has navigated with great skill. Despite the obvious challenges, Prowse finds gratification in the unique work his company does.
We're in situations every day most people never see in their lives. And so it's never a boring day at ASR.
It's hard, dirty, exhausting work. But when a job is completed, the family at All Seasons Restoration can celebrate not just a restored business or rebuilt home, but another life restored to normalcy.
When we hand somebody the keys back to their home that they've been out of for a year, that's a big thing. And so there's a lot of personal satisfaction with what we do.